What if the most expensive thing you bought this year wasn't the car, the apartment, or the watch, but the version of yourself you were trying to prove? Because that version has a price, and you've been paying it quietly, every month, for years. There's a kind of tax nobody warns you about. It doesn't show up on your paycheck. The government doesn't collect it. You won't find it on any spreadsheet. But it's there, in the car you didn't really need, the apartment that's slightly too expensive, the dinners you posted but didn't remember. Call it the status tax, the amount of freedom you quietly hand over to keep being seen as someone who is winning. And the strange part, the people you're paying it for, you don't even like most of them. Let's be careful here. This isn't a video about buying nice things. Some purchases are exactly what they look like. The better car is safer. The better apartment is quieter at night. The jacket that costs more genuinely lasts longer. If that's why you bought it, this video isn't talking about that purchase. It's talking about a different kind of purchase. The one that doesn't feel like enjoyment when you make it. It feels like relief. Picture a man standing in a showroom, looking at a car he can technically afford, but doesn't actually need. He's not imagining the engine. He's imagining the moment someone he hasn't seen in 5 years walks past him in the parking lot. That moment is what he's buying. Not the car, the mask. Psychologists who study spending behavior have noticed this pattern for decades. Some purchases aren't transactions. They're identity insurance. You're not buying a product. You're buying protection against being seen as someone who fell behind. And here's where it gets quiet and dangerous. The mask works. People do treat you differently. They lean in a little when you mention where you live. They glance at the watch. They assume you've figured something out. So you keep wearing it. You upgrade the apartment because the old one no longer matches the version of you that people expect. You upgrade the wardrobe because last year's jacket is starting to feel like evidence of slipping. You didn't know you were buying a mask. You thought you were buying a life. The two used to feel the same. They aren't. Now here's the question almost nobody asks out loud. Who is this performance for? Sit with that for a second. Not your wife, not your closest friends. They'd love you in a Honda. Not your parents, who already think you're doing too much. The audience you're paying for is mostly people who are barely watching. Cousins you see twice a year. Coworkers who'd take your job tomorrow if it opened up. Old classmates whose approval stopped mattering 10 years ago. Except apparently it didn't. It isn't that they're against you. It's quieter than that. They're not really thinking about you at all. But somehow they've moved into the part of your mind that fears falling behind. And they don't pay rent. That's the trick of status spending. The audience feels enormous in your head. In reality, it's a few dozen people, most of them living their own version of the same worry. You are spending real money, real years of your working life, to be perceived a certain way by people whose perception doesn't actually improve your life. And the people whose perception does improve your life, your partner, your real friends, your future self, they're not asking you to upgrade anything. You've been performing for a stadium. The stadium has 6 people in it. Most of them brought their phones. The stranger truth. Even if you stopped performing tomorrow, most of them wouldn't notice for months. The audience isn't watching as closely as the fear says they are. Here's where the status tax stops being a tax and starts being something else. The mask you bought to look successful slowly becomes the thing you can't stop paying for. Because once people know you as the man with the apartment in that neighborhood, the car in that category, the lifestyle in that shape. Downgrading isn't just a financial decision. It's a confession. A confession that something slipped. That you're not the version of you they met. That maybe you're not winning anymore. So you don't downgrade. You hold the line. You stretch a little. You take the project you didn't want. You stay at the job you were ready to leave. You skip the year off you needed. You try to cut the chain. You can't. Not because the chain is strong, because you're holding it from the inside. That's the moment most men don't see coming. The mask doesn't restrict you while you're buying it. It restricts you when you'd want to stop. The car payment isn't the chain. The expectation that you drive that kind of car, that's the chain. The apartment isn't the chain. The version of yourself that lives in that apartment is. You didn't lose your freedom in a single transaction. You traded it slowly, in small upgrades, each one too reasonable to refuse. Until one day, the math added up to something you didn't choose on purpose. Picture a man standing in his new apartment on a Sunday afternoon. The move was 3 weeks ago. The friends who came to see it have already come and gone. They were impressed. He could see it on their faces. He's been replaying that look ever since. The apartment is quiet now. Too quiet. The ceilings are high. The windows are large. The living room is empty because the sofa he ordered won't arrive for another month. The right sofa. The one that fits the room he's trying to be. There was a job offer in another city 6 months ago. Less prestige, more time. Work he'd actually wanted to do for years. He turned it down. The new role wouldn't have covered this apartment. He told himself the timing wasn't right. He told himself he'd find something similar later. He hasn't looked since. The apartment had already decided for him. He just hadn't noticed yet. He sits on the floor. He's not unhappy. He's not in trouble. He can afford this place. That isn't the problem. The problem is, he can't quite remember when he chose it for himself. And when he chose it for the version of himself he wanted other people to see. The room is beautiful. He's just not sure who's actually living in it. The trap of the status tax isn't that you're spending money. It's that you've forgotten the spending was supposed to be a choice. Real freedom isn't shrinking your life. It's not selling the car, moving to a smaller place, or pretending you don't enjoy nice things. That's just the mask flipped inside out, performing humility instead of performing success. Real freedom is quieter than that. It's the moment you realize you don't have to keep paying to be recognized by people you don't actually want to be recognized by. You don't have to shrink your life. You just have to stop buying proof of your worth. The mask was never the cost. The cost was who you became to keep wearing it.